Here's for the crazy ones. The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of tools, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
For the last installment of this shareholder sermon series, I'd like you to think about what you just saw. That seems so grandiose, doesn't it? Thinking that one person can change the world. You just watched an Apple computer commercial from 1997 when Steve Jobs returned to Apple after a brief hiatus. With his death, news programs have been running stories on Steve Jobs, most arguing that he did indeed change the world. I'll leave you to your own arguments as to whether you believe that or not. But I think we can still make the case that one person is capable of changing the world. Some of those persons in that commercial did, in fact, do so. Martin Luther King, John Lennon and the Beatles, Einstein, Winston Churchill. I'd add others to the list, like Henry Ford, or Thomas Edison, or Benjamin Franklin, or Mozart, or Louis Pasteur, or Abraham Lincoln, even J.K. Rowling, and so many others. I argue that those people changed the world for the better. Closer to home, there are those who forever changed the world of the church. People like the Apostle Paul, who soon read about, or Galileo, or the man we remember today, Martin Luther, the father of the Reformation. Many of you in various industries and careers could name individuals who changed teaching, or shipping, or logistics, or medicine. Closer still, consider those in your life who changed your personal world. Your spouse when you married, your children when they were born. A great teacher who got through to you in high school, put you on your life's career path. A coach. A person at church who took interest in you while you were growing up. Maybe a best friend who came to you when your life was crumbling around you. It's easy to think in this day and age that I'm just one person. I can't make a difference by my actions. We've been lulled into a kind of complacent thinking, because I believe the opposite is true. Any one of us can make a difference. Any one of us could be a world changer. You and I have the power to impact a person's life, and or we have the power to impact hundreds or thousands or millions of people's lives. I don't think it's being grandiose or delusional to think that one person can change the world. World changers are often perceived as jerks, though. 60 Minutes did a piece on Steve Jobs interviewing his biographer. There's some stories that don't cast that world changer in a good light. Biblical historians often come to the same conclusion about the Apostle Paul, that he was rather abrasive. They believe he was unpopular, that he was probably grumpy. He made people mad. He got himself thrown in prison. I don't know if I made you mad this past month or not. I don't know if you left here thinking that I was a big jerk or not. And I don't know if I'll end up being a world changer or I'll just slip into anonymity as the decades pass. But what I do know is this. that I've got a passion for this place. Sometimes to my own demise, but I've got a passion for this place. I think Crossroad could change the world. I believe that you and I can change the world through this place. I think Crossroad can change the world. And I hope that passion rubs off on you. I don't mean for it to rub you the wrong way, but I won't apologize it for either, because I want to see this place thrive. I want to see this place make a difference. I want people's lives changed for the better because of what you and I did here through the power of the Holy Spirit. I expect you to believe the same. I implore you to believe the same. I need you to believe that what you do because of your baptism into this life in Christ makes a difference. And that's why I have no problem challenging you to free up more of your financial resources. Because just imagine what we could do around here if we didn't have to spend time and energy trying to rub two nickels together to get a third. It's like having an arm tied behind our backs. Free us to make a difference in this world. I have no problem challenging you to invite friends and neighbors to join us here. Because just imagine what we could do around here with twice as many Sunday school and Bible study leaders, twice as many musicians, twice as many service project coordinators, twice as many small group leaders. Can you imagine what this place would be capable of? This is a question that haunts me. Would it matter to anyone in Clay County if Crossroad Lutheran Church closed its doors and stopped doing ministry? Think about that. Would it matter? And to the degree that you answer yes or no to that question, I hope that measures your enthusiasm and your passion for doing ministry. And there's a second question that haunts me much like the first. Would it matter to anyone if Jim Graeser closed up his doors and stopped doing ministry? Would it matter? Insert your own name in that question. Would it matter if Eric Paul stopped doing ministry? Call me naive, but I think it would. I think any one of us here in this room is a world changer. Many of you here have changed my world, most for the good. Maybe my role is just to convince you that you're world changing. And you'll be the ones that go out and change the world because of my impassioned nudge. Maybe 30 years from now, Crossroad will be a world changer because of what you and I did this day and tomorrow and continue each night. Because you and I decided to make a difference. Seeds that we're now planting that one day will produce fruit that changes the world. Ever stop to think about the what-ifs? What if Paul, the apostle, had not believed that he was called by God to do ministry? What if he had been less passionate? The world might not have changed the way that it is. Ever wondered what would have happened if a man named Martin Luther had let his doubts talk him out of it? One man called by God who passionately followed him. What would be going on for you right now if there was a crazy fool who had turned down the chance to start a mission church in 20 miles? What might the world be missing if you stopped believing that you can change the world? There was an old man that lived in the center of a desolate, hopeless city. And the man walked outside of his house and onto the streets and yelled, "Love, peace, righteousness." And the next day he'd do the same thing. He would leave his house, walk onto the street, and yell at the top of his lungs, "Love, peace, righteousness." He'd do this every day, rain or shine, like clockwork. One day the man's next door neighbor, who was tired of the daily yelling, went out the street and confronted him. He said, "Hey man, are you crazy? What the heck do you think that you're doing? Every day you come out of your house and you love, peace, righteousness. Well, don't you know nobody's listening to you? This city is full of hate and crime and hopelessness. There's no love of neighbor. There's no peace and righteousness to be found. So give it a rest and save your breath. Don't you know that you can't change the world? And the old man said, you're right. My yelling and shouting about love, peace, and righteousness may not change the world. But one thing it will do is to stop the world from changing me. You and I, we are the crazy ones. Or at least we're supposed to be. We're supposed to believe that the message of the cross and the story of Jesus can change people and change the world for the better. We're supposed to believe that it makes a difference. How often are you and I the neighbor to each other, trying to stifle one another because we don't believe it anymore? Or we fear the change that may come. We are supposed to be the crazy ones instead. At the very least, make sure this world doesn't change us. And I'll proudly be the crazy one among you every Sunday, passionately believing that it does make a difference. But I won't listen to you if you try to shut me out. And I'll keep shouting up here until at least some of you decide to be a little crazy too. And start believing that we can change the world. When we shift into the time this morning of our annual meeting, you're going to elect some people who I hope are crazy, who believe they can change the world. You're electing them to lead you in the foolishness of the gospel. And you're asking them to push you to become crazy too. You're adopting a very limited spending plan to change the world. I think the mission of changing the world is costlier than what we're proposing. And I think that we're so much more capable of funding a bigger plan to make a difference, but then maybe I'm just crazy. Anybody know the name of the crazy man named Robert Platt? He changed the world. I'd be willing to bet that most of you have bought into his craziness. Robert Platt was the guy who asked, why not attach wheels to suitcases and let people roll their way through airports? That was way back in 1987, and Platt, then in pilot of Northwest Airlines, called his invention the rollover. The luggage business would never be the same. Every major manufacturer began producing its own version of Platt's creation, and money rolled into what had been a stagnant industry. What's revolutionary about the trolley case is that it changed travel behavior. Luggage adapts to lifestyle, generally. But with the trolley case, people adapted their lifestyle to accommodate luggage. It was so convenient that people said, I'm only going to take what I can pack into one of those rolling suckers. The world changed by putting wheels on a suitcase. Can you imagine the power of the cross? If a wheel can do that to people, imagine what the cross can do to the world. But we have to believe it first before anyone else will. Our passion has to be so great that the world will start listening and start yielding and start changing. And I don't think you have to be all that skilled at it. The cross is powerful enough on its own. We just have to show it, reveal it, risk our lives to it, so that the cross can start something new. Gandhi said that to effect change, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's how he changed the world. That's how Jesus calls you and I to change the world. We have to be changed first. We heard the story today about how Paul was changed first. And then he wanted to see how others would have that same joy. That's where his passion came from. Many of you tell me personally how this place has made a huge change in your private and personal worlds for the better. And you become great agents of change around here. and your passion fuels me. That's why I want to keep at it around here. It's infectious, making a difference in people's lives. So infectious it can make normal people turn crazy. I want you to get crazy. Cornell University researchers wanted to know what people most regret. And after surveying university employees, students, retired professors, nursing home residents, they found that twice as many people were bothered more by what they did not do rather than what they had done. Missed opportunities were the most common of all regrets. Most regrets were from those who were unwilling to take chances. They feared too much the short-term consequence that failure would bring. Don't choose to let this crazy opportunity pass you by. I think you'll regret it. You know, this whole thing could go belly up. We could fail. We may not change the world. But if we don't risk it, if we let fear guide us, we definitely won't change the world. Take a chance. During the 1957 World Series, Yankee catcher Yogi Berra noticed that Hank Aaron, who would go on to set the record for most career home runs, had grasped the bat the wrong way. "Turn it around," he said to Aaron, "so that you can see the trademark." But Hank kept his eye on the pitcher's mound. Didn't come up here to read, came up here to hit. World changers know what they come to do. They believe it often when no one else does. They're passionate about it to the point of appearing crazy. And no one's ever been more of a world changer than Jesus. He knew what he came to do. Not only did he come to change the world, he came to change my world. He came to change your world. He comes to change other people's worlds. I believe that through this place, through you and me, he'll change the world. Now that's what I've come here to do and to be a part of. I've come here to get one out of the park. To change